What's going on, everybody? It's the Old Weave, and here today to talk about how certain groups of anime fans, I swear, do not have eyes, or they're the most disingenuous people you ever meet in your life. There's some points in anime where you realize something might be wrong, a plot hole, etc. And if you can recognize it, you think someone else who enjoys the media be able to criticize it too. But unfortunately, they can't, and they will make mental gymnastics and find every which way to try to defend their show from any level of criticism. Let's get into it. I think the easiest ones to focus in on right now would be the big three, but I have more like obscure examples. But let's go with the big three one by one. Starting with Bleach. Bleach out of the big three is probably the one that's most beguiled and also the one most disrespected, because every time someone makes a tier list involving like top 3, top 5 anime of all time, and they usually include Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball, people are always like, where's Bleach? Bleach deserves to be in there. Bleach is a member of the big three. Put some respect on his name. The problem is that Bleach has what I would call a no goals problem, but also it has a problem with repeated story beats, which sounds strange in the shonen genre, but hear me out. Shonen anime is very formulaic across decades of its work, but the problem in Bleach is that each of the arcs in Bleach, after Ichigo gets his soul reaper powers, are the same arc, except for the last two. Meaning, in the Soul Society arc, he's going to go save somebody who got taken by an enemy force. The Arankar arc, he's going to save someone who was taken by the enemy force. And then the Fullbringer arc, arguments about that one, you could say there was no one to be saved. And then Thousand Year Blood War arc, he had to go to not one, but two different dimensions to save people who were being attacked by an outside force. But nothing about this was about what he personally wanted or was shooting for. It was more of all reactionary to what was happening in the world. He didn't really have a path that he was taking. And when you try to talk to Bleach fans and say Ichigo doesn't have a goal or any main driving force, they will be like, well, no, his whole goal was, protect his friends and, protect his hood. And that was like, that's not a goal. That's just something normal people do with their friends. It doesn't make him any more special, except the writer gave him every race in the show. But to say that he fundamentally doesn't have an overarching goal to his story would be disingenuous if you didn't read it. Well, I've read all of Bleach multiple times for arguments, as well as just I enjoyed the series through high school. The fact is that Ichigo does not have an overarching goal that he's pushing the story like Luffy or Naruto. We know both of them want to be the top of their worlds, either the Hokage or the King of the Pirates. But what does Ichigo want? He literally wants just to relax and chill and enjoy his life. He's not that ambitious. And that's just going to be the knock against him. Now let's go to One Piece. One Piece gets a lot of flack from both its episode count to its pacing, which are genuine arguments. As someone who's mostly had to read One Piece because I got tired of the pacing and how long the anime takes, I'm not going to say the show is not fantastic when it comes to characters, world, powers, but it has flaws, and if you don't see the flaws, you don't have eyes. I can think of many things that I wish I could show, but Toei does not like to have people talk about their anime on YouTube, but they'll let you do manga things. When it comes to scenes in the anime and how we'll have at least 2 to 3 minute wide shots of just two characters facing off and staring each other down before any real action is thrown, and this will happen over the pace of like 3, 4, 5 episodes, or we get recaps of the last episode 5 minutes into the new episode. We are not really getting the right amount of content for what should be a grand adventure. And the thing is, while One Piece definitely has best side characters in comparison to Naruto and Bleach, our main character Luffy fundamentally hasn't changed his character since like the beginning. he's definitely grown up in a sense because of what happened during Marineford. But if you look at the way he carries himself in every arc and every kind of interaction, he's the same dude every single time, which is an inherent problem. He's a consistent character, I would say, but where's the true like growth in relation to, say, Naruto and some other animes that aren't the big three, is that most of Luffy's crewmates are usually the ones who have changed, evolved, and have been some of the more driving forces between Luffy versus Usopp, Zoro being the one to take on Luffy's pain, like Sanji abandoning the crew, the whole Cake Island arc. Like, most of the time we see more character development and story through his crewmates than himself, because he's just kind of along for the ride. And again, don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic character, better than Ichigo, but to act like he has not been stagnant for the majority of the run is, again, disingenuous. Now let's get to Naruto. And Naruto, of course, has its mixed share of plot holes and issues that one could bring up, sort of plot holes. But I think one of its biggest flaws is due to simply the fact that Kishimoto wrote himself into a corner and how to deal with Madara, and it kind of very much sullied the ending of the show, even though that wasn't even the real end. We still had 2 whole battles left over after the fact, but it's such a terrible taste in people's mouths and how much Madara was built up that it was such a letdown that it's a fair criticism. What's not a fair criticism is when it comes to people's kind of attack on the show in relation to how its powers and abilities work, as if things weren't blatantly shown or seen. And then there's something that I think relates to all 3 of these shows, and that's how all these battles shown in anime, even though One Piece is more of a journey shonen, have data books that give statements to about certain powers and abilities of the show. And I find it weird that with Naruto data books compared to One Piece and Bleach, we all have to have eyes. We all read them, but I'm supposed to somehow undermine the Naruto ones compared to the other ones, and like statements that are saying things made of this versus that, despite having the same composition. Like, what are we doing here? And it just, I don't understand why we have to stop reading and start imagining. Another thing about Naruto, people say that, you know, Sasuke has some mad plot armor as far as things that definitely should have killed him. But my thing with that is, we're not going to talk about that in any way, shape, or form in comparison to what happened in both Bleach and One Piece. With Bleach, the amount of times I've seen someone in that show bifurcated, straight up cut in half, cut in 2, cut down, and they're not going to die. That could be a result of them being Shinigami, but then what's the point of showing the dramatics of that attack if it meant nothing? And then in One Piece, Oda himself has stated that he doesn't have people die a lot in the show because he wants to draw parties after every arc. So characters will survive these absurd attacks that, quote, could be city level all the way up to maybe country level, and they're just brushing them off like nothing happened, or they just simply don't die because Oda said, nope, I want to throw a party at the end of this arc. You have to be able to say, come on now. Some characters should just bite the dust. And a different kind of talking point, and something I'm probably going to dive into a more detailed video, is the kind of condemnation of one anime compared to another, despite having very similar themes, motivations, and outright kind of main characters out of question of morality. And that's Rising of the Shield Hero and Redo of Healer. Both of these shows involve, you know, a male character who has been put into a party system with certain roles, be it a tank, healer, DPS, etc., and have been super mistreated, downright, you know, turned into a second-class citizen by a princess of a kingdom. The only difference is Nafumi got even over the course of the entirety of season 1 and got vindication by turning their name from one thing to another, and Kiraru got personally involved with how he got his revenge against the princess and her sister, who's the other princess, who were both abusing him. And the idea that one show, I guess, gets vilified compared to the other for reasons that we can easily surmise, but I think it's the fact that they're both revenge stories, and the idea that we have to feel sympathy for the characters that they're happening to is crazy, simply due to the fact that what were they doing to the main character? And then people will say an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, and I'm like, baby in terms of the real world, but in the fantasy setting, that's perfectly within their realms because that's the world that they created. That's the world that they live by. And some for more medieval and like European style animes, that was the way in history. Another distinction between two characters of vastly different animes and then vastly different results, but want the fundamental same thing and have talked about it, but don't get compared in the same light, would be Monkey D. Luffy and Eren Yeager. Both of them are after the idea of pure freedom and the ability to do whatever they want, however they want, by standing atop of the world in a way. It's just Eren was about that action, and Luffy kind of just is a terrorist who runs around helping his friends in the name of terrorism. And the idea that they're not the same is only due to the actions of Eren, but kind of ignoring his motivations, where he personally just wanted his friends to have a good life and enjoy themselves. And Luffy, for the most part, wants to have his friends and crewmates enjoy themselves and have a good life. And to act as though Luffy hasn't caused wanton destruction across the One Piece world in relation to how Eren did the rumbling, they're one and the same. It's just one was a little more edgier than the other because one's a shonen and one's a seinen. But to act like you can't see the direct parallels between them is crazy. I guess to wrap it up, the other one I would say that would probably come to most people's minds is that DBZ and Dragon Ball as a whole, to act as though certain things just don't make sense when you're looking at them, even in the context of Dragon Ball. I want you to think about this, because it's probably something that is immediately coming to your mind. Goku in Super Saiyan Blue was fighting Krillin in Super, and it seemed like it was a standstill or an even match. We all know there's no way Krillin should be anywhere near, I would say even base Goku. Super Saiyan Blue Goku though, and it was holding his own. Come on, and like we should be able to say that's a brighting flaw or that's a problem, but you know, maybe some people just don't have eyes. Hey, put down in the comments any kind of shows, manga, or moments within those that you saw something plain as day, and when you brought this up, people acted like you were crazy. GG's, guys.